women to find their voices. Big thing for me is that myself, like I told you guys before, I'm a recovering doormat. Okay, I'm on my way to becoming the chandelier so I can actually show the way.
I like how you're using that.
I think, you know what, it's about that. It's like brightening up the room, walking in, you know, making myself really present, because that's what it was all about for me. I've got 5 children. I homeschool them. My oldest is in Waterloo. He's in 4th year doing economics, right? Economics, honey? Yeah, economics. It took me so long for me to figure out what the guy's studying, but now I know. Like, what are you going to do with this economics thing? And he's like, oh, Mom, you'll see lots of things, right? I'm like, okay, good. You know, my little one is 6, so I've got 4 boys and a princess. But she comes everywhere with me, so I can set a really good role model for her. Okay, I'm single. And what I do is I travel globally. I travel across the United States, in my hometown, out of my hometown, online, just empowering women to help them to find their voices. Because I don't know how many women either don't have their voices at work, don't have their voices at home, don't have their voices just speaking about what is important for them. And I don't know about you guys, but I come from a family where it's like, never mind, honey, okay? And if I had to be a nice girl, then I had to be quiet, okay? So when you come from a place where children are seen and not heard, or your parents want you quiet or in the car, then things that are going on that are important to me, I just suppress them. And what was happening? I noticed I was suppressing my system as well. In fact, just last year I was diagnosed with full-blown adrenal burnout, and I was in a hospital where I couldn't move because my body was just shutting down. My body's like, you know, what are you doing, right? So I learned on how to do it. And so today I tell you, when the question was asked, what do you do now and what do you want to do? It's the same thing for me, because I'm living my dream. I get to be with my kids all the time, be with them as much as possible, empower women online, write articles about the stuff I love. But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. I got married at the age of 20, and the only reason I got married is I wanted to get out of the house. I thought that was my answer, because I thought, oh my God, my parents are just driving me so crazy, and the only way I'm going to have freedom is if I get married. Oh, this guy is so nice, and he's the first guy who I ever went out with, and I thought, oh, he's the one. Okay, I didn't look and say, who else is out there? Because in my own self, my confidence was so tiny. For me, it was like, oh my God, he loves me, so I'll just get married. Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. Even though I come from a Muslim home, my parents didn't approve of the man I chose, because it was a love marriage. And a lot of people think, well, oh yeah, she was in this, you know, her parents decided to get her married. No, I wanted to get married to my husband. And my parents sat down with me and they said, Fatima, please think about what you're doing, because you're so bubbly and you're so out there, and he's not going to be able to handle you, right? And I was like, no, Daddy, I love him. And my father goes, there were 2 things my father always told me since I was a little girl. He goes, there's 2 things they'll never take away from you: your faith and your education. And I was top of my class in school. I was so good in university, and I quit everything to get married. My dad was devastated. And yet my dad said, okay, I'm going to give you 2 weeks, decide what you want, and I'll give you the best wedding, and I'll support you. But once you get married, the door's closed, don't come home. Okay? So I had all this pressure on me, and so I get married. My parents gave me this best wedding. I got married in South Africa, where I'm from, even though I was educated in Canada. My wedding was on national television. I came in a horse and carriage, and till now, everybody knows that I was the girl who got married in City Hall, okay, because it was so big. Well, it took me about 6 months to know that I made the biggest mistake of my life. And I had nothing in common with this man, and I thought, oh my God, what do I do now? I'm pretty much stuck. And so, you know, he wasn't abusive in the beginning, but, you know, there's a saying that says, we train people how to treat us. We teach them. And so I decided that if I wanted to be loved, then I would be submissive. And so I suppressed my original personality to basically make them happy. right? So anything they wanted, my answer was sure, sure, and I'd have this big fake smile on my face all the time and say sure, sure. And what was happening inside of me was my soul was dying. My soul was dying because I was just being a yes person all the time, okay? And inside of me, I just didn't know what to do. And as the years went by, the abuse escalated and escalated until I was in hospital. But what I did was I waited for my parents to die because I didn't want to embarrass them. Because in my culture, having a girl come home that's divorced and with kids is like a punishment for my parents. And I decided, you know what, I wasn't going to even let my parents know what was going on, and I would just kind of suffer in silence. And so what I did was I started getting this relationship with God. And I decided, well, he would never let me down. My parents are all the way in South Africa. I'm in Canada. My husband's family is all whacked out. He is all crazy. And so the only one I could count on was God. So I would just pray and pray and pray. And I would go into the shower and I would cry because I never wanted my children to see me crying. And I would say this prayer in the shower, and I would say to God, I said, you know, inside of me, in this little belly, there's a small little Fatima. And she's so tiny, and she's so scared. And I'm going to ask you right now, I said to him, that every time I cry, I want you to use those tears to let her grow. And grow her, and make her bigger and bigger and bigger. So that giant inside of me could overcome my husband. It would overcome my situation. And that's exactly what happened. Every time I would visualize me, this little me growing and growing. And I would go in front of the mirror and I would do this crazy exercise. I would look in the mirror and I would go, I choose to be abused. No, I don't. Who would choose to be abused? That's the most ridiculous, idiotic thing ever. Then I would go in the next head, go, I choose to be abused. I'm like, no, that's so crazy. In 1991, I bought a book called Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Most Effective People. Highly effective people. Do you know, it's been 1991, and I still haven't passed the first habit. And I read this book, and he's talking about circle of influence. And I'm like, what is this man talking about? It's junk. And here he's saying that I'm choosing to be abused. I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh, no one can help me now, right? And I would do that. I'd choose to be abused. I choose to be abused. I'd look in the mirror, and I'd have this talk with me. And finally, it took me years to sit there in front of the mirror and go, I choose to be abused. I choose to be abused. I choose to be abused? Oh my God. If I choose to be abused, then I could choose something different. That's when the light bulbs went on. And I went, okay, that's it. I'm done with this. I'm going to choose something different. And I started teaching myself and empowering myself, and I became this, from reading 2-3 books a week, I went to reading 5 to 7 books a week. And just reading and reading and reading. And I'd go to my husband and I'd say, you know, honey, we've got these things happening in our marriage, and there's a seminar going on. Why don't we go? Okay, and he'd go, I'm perfect. You're so effed up. You're so messed up. You figure yourself out, and if you fix yourself, our whole marriage will be fine. So Fatima signed up, and Fatima went. Okay? Then I'd bring home a book, and I'd be like, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I thought, this is such a good book. It's like, they're talking about us in this thing. And he'd go, you read it, and you tell me what it is. So I read. And I went to courses, and I went to seminars, and then I woke up one day and going, oh, I have nothing to do with this man. I'm leaving. So what I realized in my journey is that I didn't need to change him. I just needed to change me. And it was all internal. And the more I read, and the more I empowered, and the more this giant Fatima grew, the more I changed, and the more empowered I got. And I was able to really take that, and I would stop, and I would breathe. And that's what, if you go on my website, godandenergy.com, the 5 secrets to staying empowered, even if your world is falling apart, is exactly what I did. I would just stop and breathe. And this tool can be used anytime. Like, say, for example, your boss wants to do something at work, and you don't know how to react. The first thing I would do is just say stop and breathe. Because we get so into that cycle, and it's a whirlwind of everything coming at us at once. We go crazy. So just to stop and go, what's happening to me right now? What's the emotion that's happening into me right now? What do I have control over? And that's what I would do. I would just stop. Because what I realized is every single decision I made when I was married, and even when I was younger, because that's the model I saw, was out of fear. Someone's going to be angry with me if I don't agree with them. Someone's going to be angry with me if I don't cancel all my plans and show up for theirs, right? And so I had to just stop, and I realized fear was the the emotion that would help me to make that decision, and I decided I'm not doing that anymore. So what I would do is say, okay, you want me to make that decision? And my husband knew that if he really made me scared and threatened me, I would make that decision immediately. So I learned to say, honey, I think that's really good, but I really would like to sleep on it, and I'll make my decision tomorrow. And that bought me time. That bought me time to say, I'm so scared right now, but I don't want to make any decision, because every decision is going to be based on what is good for them, right? And I don't want to make a decision based on what's good for them. I want to make a decision based on what's good for me and what's good for everybody as a whole. So just stop and breathe, right? So if you go on to, it's a free report, just get it. You'll find yourself, things are changing. You just can implement those things right away. You don't have to sign up for a course or anything. I've done a little bit of things here, little notes. I also found out that I had to ask myself the question, how do I get out of the situation? And I realized that being a mom, having 5 kids, staying at home, never working outside, created a prison-like situation for me, because the one thing that was holding me back was money. Because here I was empowered, I knew what to do, I had the tools, I was helping all my friends. But if I took my kids and left, what was I going to do after that? So money was a really big thing, right? And I started thinking outside of my own little box, thinking, if I'm having this problem, then how many women out there who are in abusive situations are stuck because they don't have the money? And you know what I found out? It was almost all of them. Because even the rich women that are being abused, they don't have control over the money, right? So yeah, they're rich and they're glamorous and they look so beautiful, and you think they're rich, but they're not, they're controlled. So they can't just go spending the money on what? Some empowerment course, and he's not going to find out about it? That's really not going to happen. So I decided, you know what? How would a woman be able to do that? And I realized a really good way for a woman to get more money, because it's hard for her to go get a job at Tim Hortons. It's hard for her to do. So my solution was, there are so many direct marketing models, like multi-level marketing models out there. She could join any one of them. She could join any one of them because the structure is already in place. Some of them have been here long, some of them have been here short. She could find a product she really likes, and guess what? She'd be able to have her own business. And some of the startups are just $200. Versus if she left her house and went out, he would start going mental and jealous on her, because she needed to contain the situation to really be able to step out of it. Okay, so I decided, well, if she's going to do that, then I better go do my research and join a bunch of them to see which one works and which one doesn't. So I did it. I decided I was going to be the guinea pig and go out there, because my niche market are women who are helper pleaser types, and really get her out there to be able to say, I created a really nice acronym. It's called MERCY, and I'm going to go through this with you. And it's really, really good to just go MERCY. And anytime you're in a situation, to be able to step into what I call mercy. And the M is mindfulness. So just stop and become mindful of the emotion that's happening in your body. Right? Feeling your feelings, because I know for myself, it's easy to avoid it. It's easy to go into denial, but when you feel your feelings, you become a lot more empowered, because that's what you can control, right? The E would be to know that everything is energy. So if I am choosing this feeling right now, I can change it, right? I can do something. For me, music is a really good thing. So if you're home, I put your music on and you start dancing, you can change your energy, right? Really, really quickly. Or someone calls you, like you're in a good mood and someone says someone died, how does your energy change? Just down. Or you walk into a room and it's light and bright. It's a totally different energy. So to know that everything is energy and we can control it, very empowering. The R for me in Mercy is record your results. Start writing. Do a journaling exercise. In the morning and at night, whether it's your dreams, whether it's your goals, whether it's things that are bothering you, write them down. Write them down, because when you look back a year from now at what you did, you'll be so amazed to think, oh my God, look how much I've grown. And then you get to pat yourself on the back and go, ooh, right? It's so empowering, something so small. The C for me is such a big thing. It's about creating and about congruency. Congruency is walk your talk, say what you mean, and mean what you say. Keeping your agreements to yourself, not to anybody else. If you say, I'm going to do my business, then do it. Because what we're doing, see, we are an ecosystem within ourselves, and we're an ecosystem within the universe. All that is in us, that's why when the tides go in and out, our bodies change. When you keep your agreements to yourself, whether it's, I'm going to meet you for coffee at 4 o'clock, or whether it's, I'm starting my diet, or whether it's an exercise program, or just, hey, I'll finish my book. When you keep your agreements, your body, your cells, keep a checklist. When you don't keep your agreements, you start having leakages in your system. Because even though you might not remember, your system does. Then you're out of congruency. Right? So it's not about even keeping your agreements to others, it's just to yourself. It's really, really important. And the why in mercy is saying yes to me. Self-care. Right? When we listen to our body, do I need a rest? Is my body saying, hey, I partied too much last night? Is my body saying, no, you know what, there's no way I can take on another project? Right? And I had a really hard time saying no to other people. And so what I learned to say was, sure, Noor, I'll be happy to pick up your dry cleaning, but I'll be able to do it next week. Sure, you know, I could do that for you, no problem, but this is my schedule. And so I wasn't saying no directly, but I was. It was my way of saying. So mercy, just go through the acronym mercy, and it'll really keep you in mindfulness check. See, blah. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to tell you about my May event that I mentioned to you earlier. Keep in mind, if I can help you in any way to, you know, empower you and help you, I am going to be doing an event in May. I don't know if it's going to be early May or late May, because I'm just kind of working on it right now, bringing the speakers in, bringing people for the expo. And what I'll do is I'll have different multi-level marketing companies, not that I own, but other people that I find will really empower women, because I want them to have all this information. I want to be able to have that expo and that day for them to come in not knowing what to do and leave with, oh my God, I've got some really awesome tools and information here. All I have to do is make a decision. All I have to do is make a decision. Okay? So go onto my website, check it out, and ask me any questions if you have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
So, just wondering, when you're saying empowering, you mean give the women a chance of having their business, or just make them look stronger in front of their husbands? What do you mean?
That's such a good question. I thank you for asking. It's both. Because it depends on what she wants. Right? If she's not a businesswoman, then no, she doesn't want to do that. Right? But it's all about digging in. There's a really, really nice exercise called digging for gold. Okay? And you touch your heart and you say, what is it I really want? Like, especially you, Noor, you're on the threshold of, I'm in my business, what do? I have this great job. But there's something stirring inside of you. And what ends up happening is when you ask your brain, in our brain are other people's ideas, especially our parents, our older siblings, people around us. Their ideas are in our brain. But when we go for the digging for gold exercise and we really touch our heart and ask, what is it I want? What is it that's going to make me really, really happy? And you keep on asking that question. And then keep a journal. Write it down and see what answers come up, because you'll be like, oh, I want to be an accountant. Oh, I want to be a consultant. Oh, I want to be a volunteer. Oh, I want to be a mom. And just record your results. As you ask yourself every single day that question, your brain will shut off and your heart will start talking. Then you'll know what you really, really want. Because the funny thing is, what you really, really want might be what your family really, really wants, or it might not be. Like my dad always wanted me a doctor. You know, Fatima's going to be a doctor. Well, Fatima isn't a doctor. Fatima's on the stage talking and, you know, going places, and I was created to speak on stage. That I know. And to, you know, really make a woman feel like there's hope. That's why on my card it says potential, powerful potential of possibilities. Because when I see you, that's what I see. When I see her, I see my kids, I see people, especially women. I see this powerful potential of possibilities. And I think men are very threatened by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, men are very, very, very threatened, especially Muslim men. And I can speak for my own, you know, not even culture, but Islam. And I have a really big uphill battle when it comes to Muslim men and me. But I'm okay. You know, nothing awesome or nothing great came from no work. Nothing. Everything awesome, everything amazing came from a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, you know, sweat and pulling up our sleeves and working hard. And I'm not afraid. Because you see, I don't have to finish the whole job. I just have to start it. And then all these women are going to just come on and they'll continue. So to me, there's really no, and I know that I'm very fast at doing something. So if I've got an idea, it's going to happen really, really quickly. Like in the next week, I'm going to create my institute, which is Voice for the Voiceless. Yeah, and then my business and my business concept and all that stuff. And so when I get an idea or I hire a business coach, things start happening, I'm an implementer. I'll get the thing and I'll do it, right? And a lot of what I found in the last few years with the movie The Secret and all the law of attraction things, a lot of people get so bogged down in visualization so much. I'll just visualize and I'll get a parking spot and it'll just appear. And the missing piece was the action. I mean, until you sign up for your CMA course and you take your stuff and you do your studies, or until you show up to volunteer, what, am I going to just think it done? It's not going to happen, right? So yeah. So thank you for asking that. Really important. Because no, it's not about my dream of making her a businesswoman, of my dream of her talking. It's her dream. It's her dream. So when I work with my clients, I look at it as we're on a tennis court. And you and I, we're on the same side. So where are we looking? What are we doing? You know, it's always a we conversation, right? And what you want is what I want. Does that make sense?